Okay, before I go over the assignment, the one thing I was still cruising through my notes trying to figure out where clone is because I swear I read about it someplace. Otherwise, I wouldn't have asked you to do it, but I read it somewhere. But anyways, while I was cruising through my notes looking for clone, didn't find it. I did find this. So here's the set command. And here, built into the calendar class, is the name of the month, which translates into a 7 in this case, no doubt. But you don't, that makes this, as Reen said, much more readable because you're not looking at the 9 minus 1. It would just say calendar.september. So I changed that in the sample so that you have it handy in case you need it. So it just looks like that. Okay. Remember next week, no class scheduled. Lab 3 is now posted. What I'd like you to do for Lab 3 is to create a brand new project. Still going to use your loan class, but I want you to experiment with and find out how to, and I'm going to tell you don't look hard because it's supposed to be easy, how to find a way to copy your class from one project to another. I don't want you to link it to Lab 2. There you'll see lots of examples for that out there. I want you to literally copy it. So in Lab 3, what we're going to do is add validation. We're also going to add separate inputs for the user to type stuff in. We're going to add you're going to add validation to it. And so now you'll have a real app with inputs for the four things that we need: the amount, the APR, and the period, and the loan date. So 4 inputs, labeled, laid out nicely, a couple of buttons. The buttons are a calculate button and a cancel button, just like sound familiar, programming logic, right? This is programming logic unit 2. That's kind of where we are. We've caught up with that. So that's pretty good. This would be a fairly reasonable app by the time you're done. You type this stuff in, it tells you the loan amount and how much it's really going to cost you. Try it on a house, $225,000 at 3% interest. See how much it really costs you. Here's the validation numbers that you should be using. If the user clicks the calculate button at that time, do not try, if you wish, go for it. You do not have to do on focus, the leaving focus, the change focus. You don't have to do that. The user can type, go crazy. When they click the calculate button, then you transfer everything that's on the form into a class. If you get an error, you display error messages on the screen. If you don't get errors, then you display the stuff we displayed before. What's the payment? What's the total? What's the interest? What's the payoff date? If the user clicks the cancel button, just wipe out whatever's on the screen. Okay, so a couple of things in there you don't know how to do yet. First is the validation. We're going to talk about that in this recording. Second is the screen layout. Remember, this class meets for 3 hours on Monday nights. There's an extra hour. For next week, before class, I would like you to read and follow chapters 16 and 20. That is a 2-point ticket. I'm going to run them. I mean, the chapters, you know how long they are. They're 5-6 chapters long. You're not going to be doing a ton of typing. You're going to do some very simple demonstration projects that'll teach you what you need to lay out a screen. That's 16. Chapter 20 is click events. That's the other thing you don't know how to do. How do you teach a button? When I touch you, run this event over here. Chapter 20 will teach you how to do that. Chapter 20 mentions briefly a shortcut. it is possible when you're looking, I don't even have a button here. If I add a button to this for no particular reason, and we go through its properties, it's got an on-click property. That's a shortcut. You may not use it. So you could put a method name in here, and whenever you click on it, it goes. You may not use it because there's no flexibility there. Once you'll learn how to create an event listener, you'll read about it, and how to create an on-click event delegate. If Zach was here, he'd be proud. But the book guides you through it. It's a little bit of typing. There used to be, in Eclipse, there's a shortcut for build it automatically, which was really nice when we built our class, right? In Eclipse, there's a shortcut. I have not found it. 2 bonus points if you find a shortcut for how to create an event listener. And it's object inside without doing all the typing they make you do in the book. So for next Monday, you're going to write 2 little mini programs. You can submit them one at a time for 1 point each, or you can submit them both. 2 little mini programs out of chapter 16, just follow what it says to do in the book, and chapter 20, follow what it says to do in the book. There are 3 more chapters in between that talk about the different kinds of layouts. The grid layout, the table layout, relative layouts. Actually, no, they don't talk about table. They talk about grid, they talk about relative, and they talk about creating all these objects in Java. That might come in handy in the future. But what I would like you to do for those chapters, 17, 18, 19, 1 per week. So let's go find a calendar here someplace. You got a calendar. There we go. Okay, so on the 5th, since Matt's writing all these down, and after Matt's got them written down, you can all ask him. Now, I'll get them into Blackboard, I promise. On the 5th, 16 and 20. It's not going to let me move. On the 12th, 17. On the 19th, 18. On the 26th, where am I? 19. Anyways, so 1 every Monday from then on. So you can look ahead, and if you want to crank them all out the next, and you probably could, if you want to crank them all out in the next couple days, do it. I'll give you points all the way out to the 26th of October or something like that. Yes. Questions on that? Yeah.
Do or we do not have class this coming Monday?
You do not have class a week from tonight. Unless I change my mind. I don't anticipate it. I'm giving you stuff to do. My advice is you might want to come in anyways and hang out with all your friends and share, gain knowledge and all that kind of stuff, but that's just advice. When is this program due? We'll figure that out after we get back. So it'll probably be due, let's see, we're not having class on the 5th. So probably due October 16th. That's when the program is due, October 16th, about 3 weeks from now. I would advise also reading my notes. Which notes? Well, that's where it gets interesting. Kind of all over the place, the stuff you need. Here's some stuff on screen layouts, but it's a bit dated. It does not talk about this drag and drop Android Studio GUI. I don't have time. But it does talk about relative layouts and table layouts, and I don't think it talks about grid layouts yet because they were too new. It does talk about those different kinds of layouts in the text mode and how to use them, so you might read that over. The basic runtime processing has some basic stuff. I would read those, and event handlers you're going to need. So use those as additional references, Unit 3, Unit 4, Unit 5. And with chapter 16 and 20 in the book, you should be able to solve these problems. I am asking you to do things that I haven't shown you how to do. But I am telling you where to find it, and I think you can figure it out. There was one flaw in the book, I don't remember which one it was, in that Java one, so that's in the future. If you're doing that, building your own screen using Java instead of the layout, instead of XML, you're building it dynamically. There's an error in there that says create an ID for this, and when you do in the latest version of Android, it gives you an error. If you right-click the error and say ignore it, it'll ignore it, and it works fine. But that one's out a couple of weeks. I'll show you that when the time comes. Okay, so what I do want to show you is how to do some exception handling in Visual Studio. So I'm going back to my bowling program, and we're now going to do some exception handling, and I'm creating a new method to deal with that. And a lot of this exception handling works very much the same as it did in Visual Studio, except for one thing that is significantly different that I always forget. We're going to throw exceptions because remember the GUI, the business class, the problem domain does not display messages to the user. That's the GUI's job. It's the main activity's job here. The business class throws exceptions that the main program catches and then does something. So the user program is responsible for catching that exception and dealing with it. Here's what's different. In Android, or maybe it's probably Java, right? In Java, if a method could potentially throw an exception, you have to tell Java that this method could throw an exception. Guess it can't just look down there and figure it out. The reason you have to say this is because Java will then also syntax check your main program. And if the main program doesn't have a try-catch in it, it throws a fit. If the method is called by the main program and the method throws exceptions, the main program has to have a try-catch. Has to. So let's see that. Okay, not doing anything with that button, but it won't hurt anything. So I'm now going back to here. And I want to add some validation. And I'm just going to do a demo. Once we see how to do one, I think you'll be able to figure out how to do the others. Okay, so I'm going to say for game one, here's my setter. And by the way, I didn't do this. I don't think I did. Put them all on each on a line like this. I think Java or Android Studio did that for me. But I want to change my setter. I'm not just going to blindly move this new value into there. I want to make sure it's legal first. So the first thing I'm going to ask is first thing I'm going to do is say that this method throws, I think it's lowercase, yep, throws exception. Got to add it. Doesn't happen automatically. Now, this method is allowed to throw an exception. And now we can do the same kind of validation you've been doing all along. If the game one that we just got is greater than or equal to 0, and game one is less than or equal to 300, and yes, we could define constants for those. Might not be a bad idea, right? Hint, hint. Where would that constant go? Could be in here, but I would probably want it up here someplace. Just like we did before, business constants. Define constants that hold those values that are near the top of your class, just like we did here, so that you can change them easily or find them easily if you need to change them. If that's true, then all of this is cool. Go ahead and do it. Else, we want to throw an exception. We want to throw a new exception. And if I remember right, and I'm going to go double check, in parentheses, we can have an error message. Now I'm still using string literals with quotes around them, and the little light bulb guy is going to come on. Maybe I'll even take advantage of it here this time. A little light bulb comes on and said, you should really turn this into a string resource. Why did we do string resources? A little review. Why would I want to do that? Okay, explain.
So that you can translate program.
To a different language. Yes, her term was localization. I'm not sure you've all heard that. Localization means if I'm running this in Germany, it's going to localize the language so that the error messages come up in German instead of English. Assuming your phone is set for German. And you can change the language on your phone and say, I want to have my phone talk to me in Swahili. And it will. Good luck reading the messages in the settings box to put it back to English again, by the way. Be careful when you do that. So all I need is in parentheses, and here's the other kicker, I have to throw it. Oh no. I combined these, didn't I? Because I said in my sample, throw right away. So you can either define the exception and then throw it, or you can throw it as you define it. I think it's just as well as the way we did it in C# is to combine these two commands. So I'm doing my throw E. Maybe that isn't going to work. Throw new exception, parentheses, game must be between 0 and 300. Okay with that? Seems to be. And here's that little light bulb said, hey, remove the braces for, oh, really? That's rude. Any other suggestions? Boy, I don't like that at all, personally.
I did that with my lab 1 and then had to change it back because I didn't like it.
Because you didn't like it or I didn't like it?
Because I didn't like it.
Okay, I don't like it either. I think if you got curly brackets on the if, you ought to have curly brackets on the else, or it's really going to be confusing. So that's a interesting idea. I don't know what we're saving with that, honestly. And if we ever do anything else with this, we have to add the curly brackets later. Okay, so 2 things we did. A few more than that. First, you have to add the throws exception to the method name. Then validate. If it's bad, throw a new exception with the message. Now that we've added throws exception to this, wherever we set the game, we haven't done it yet, but wherever we set the game for an object, a bowling object, we have to put a try catcher on it. So let's go demonstrate that. So now I'm going back here and I've created a new method called test validation. So inside here, I'm going to create a new bowling series.
Line 36 shows it already.
Line 36 shows it already. Thank you. Bowling series, and we'll call this the test series, and it's a new bowling series. We'll use the empty parentheses. So now if I try to say test series dot set game 1 to some whatever number we want, let's just do a test with 400. I get an error message. The little light bulb's red. What's your problem? Add exception to method signature. Add exception to method signature. Okay, surround with a try catch. Now with this one we'll talk about in just a second. But here, that's the one we want. So surround this with try catch, and there we go. What the heck is this? Print the stack trace. That's where did I come from? That's all the stuff that just confuses the heck out of people. So what we can do is say TV. Do I have a TV? Did I make it global? Nope. Might be wise to move this TV outside so I can get at it from everywhere. But I don't think you can initialize it outside. That was one of the things I mentioned a couple of weeks ago. If you create this variable outside of a method, you cannot initialize it because the R class doesn't exist yet. Your program crashes. So you have to declare it outside and then still initialize it inside. So I'll just leave it here. Copy?
You can initialize it in the onCreate.
Yes. instead of doing it over and over and over. Set text. And again, I don't want to make my own message here. How does the GUI know what's wrong? It doesn't have a clue. So we want to use the e.get message is my thought. Check my notes, see if it tells me I'm a liar. I'll be right back to that. Try catch. Really? That's interesting. Because this is an exception. It's concatenated to a string. What do we get? Maybe just the message. So maybe we can. Let's just see if we can shorten it. It's a little confusing. But can we just do E? Looks okay. Looks a little funky. In my notes, I renamed this for error. You can call this whatever you want. Just like we could in C#. C# was often called ERR, and we just left it, or EX for exception. And I still got some red squiggles someplace. What's your problem? Oh, they went away. Okay, so this got added by me doing ERR. So if I do the get message, I'll bet the other stuff won't be part of it, I hope. So it worked, got my error message.
You won't ever set it.
Hmm?
You won't ever set it.
I know. I said it right here. I'll never get there, that's true.
Well, you call the set game method, you won't ever set it. Because it doesn't validate.
This is going to throw an exception.
Right.
Which means I never get to this line.
Oh, yeah.
And now that prefix, whatever it was, the Java language exception is gone. So that's a little cleaner. And then just to test it, change the number. Seems to work. So very similar to C#. The biggest difference probably is the get message a little bit, not too much difference there, but I think the biggest difference is remember to add throws exception to every one of these methods. Every one of your setters, because most of them are going to have validation. If they don't have validation, you probably don't want to put that in there. Because if you do, you have to wrap a try catch around any time you use a setter. If there's no validation, then I wouldn't put this throws exceptions in there. Almost done. It is possible to rethrow an exception. What a rethrow means is it got thrown to me. I don't want to handle it. I'm going to send it to whoever called me. So a classic example here. And I'm going to change my setter, and you might want to do this as well, or my constructor, excuse me. This constructor accepts games, right? What happens if this is a bad game? It's 400. Is there an error on this? There's not an error on this. So this one either has to catch that exception and do something, but what it typically does is you just rethrow it. So this throws an exception. And I don't think I got to read my notes here. In order to rethrow an exception, the method must itself include a throw exception, even though there's no throw exception in here. There's no throw exception in here. It will throw the exception back to whoever called it. And that one better catch it. So now this throws an exception. And if we call this, and this command causes a problem, why would it cause, oh, I'm sorry. It's not going to cause a problem yet because this is what I wanted to change. I want to say that I want to set game 1 to game 1. Why am I going to do that? To invoke the validation. Can I do with this? Sure. Either way. Now what Karen did, and this is where we were, right? Karen put the word final in here. Is that right?
No, on the setter.
On the setter. Okay, so that would be down here. Karen did a little research, and she found that if you're doing validation on set game 1 here, you should make it final. That's not the right place either. Where did my game 1 go? There it is. And you would do it on all the setters. Why, Karen?
Because if you had a subclass that for some reason overwrote the setter.
It is possible, and subclassing and overriding is a little beyond the scope here. Subclassing means
Shouldn't invoke a method in a constructor that could be overwritten.
okay. So could this be overwritten? Yes, because somebody might use my bowling series class as a foundation for their own to make a class that includes everything in mind and more. That's called subclassing. To me, it's always backwards. It's superclass. It's better than mine, but it's called subclassing. And if you subclass, then you can use the override command to say, whatever's in the superclass, forget that. Use this instead. Why would I want somebody else to override my validation? I wouldn't. And so that's why it's a good idea to put a final in here. If you don't do it right now, it's a little beyond us right now, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. That's a good idea to put those in there. So now we need to test this. And I don't think I have any errors, no red squiggles anywhere, so I'm going to main now. And instead of instantiating this way, I'm going to instantiate it here. And I'm going to send it the 3 pieces of information that it needs. And what was first? Was it the name? The what?
Name.
Name. The bowler name? Where's all my help? Oh, bowling series, test series, duh. Be smart. Equals a new bowling series. And there's my help. Okay. So game 1.
Move your mouse.
Stay. Thank you. Game 1 is the one I'm validating, right? So let's put a good one in there to start with. So nothing new here, except I'm instantiating and setting a value right away. So what this should do is tell me that test series is cool. But I'm getting an error.
In the clone testing, you had instantiation.
And what?
You see the reds on the about 3/4 of the way down.
Oh, I got an old one. Where's it?
Down.
Why is he complaining? because I'm invoking this now, but there is a throws exception on this and I'm not catching it. This constructor has a throws exception. I added it. You might not remember because it was a long time ago. Here's my constructor. That's not it. I have so much trouble finding stuff here. Constructors, where'd it go? Well, get, set. There. This constructor, I added a throws exception to it. Anybody who calls it, this is just a method, anybody who calls it has to try catch. So I could go to my little lightning bolt guy and say, put a try catch around it. And since I'm not really playing with this one, I'm not going to worry about changing it. I'm just going to make it quiet. I could have commented it out and that would have caused trouble down here for the rest of it. So now all my red squiggles are gone. So let's go to what I'm testing. Okay, try catch. I should get my 100 in the output. Good. Game must be between 0 and 300. So it's still working. The concept here is the concept of rethrowing an exception within your business class. If a method, this one or any other method, invokes a method set game that throws an exception, it either has to handle it, which we don't want because we're in a business class. Business classes don't handle exceptions, or it has to rethrow it, meaning I'm not going to handle it here, you take it. Throw it to the next person. And to rethrow, you simply say, this one throws exceptions. And it's a bit confusing because you don't see any throwing of exceptions here, but it rethrows. Questions? Yes, I will save this. Given that, you now know how to add validation to your business class. After you've read and gone through, follow the exercises in chapters 16 and 20, you have a pretty good clue on how to lay out your screen, how to handle a click event. There's one other little trick in there that I'll let you find and figure out as you go. Last chance, questions about what I covered today. Questions about the assignments, I'll add them to Blackboard with the due dates so that you can find them. But real quick, all that's due on Monday is 16 and 20. Those are two little mini projects. Those two are both due Monday, so that you have a nice head start on the project. Okay.